Okay, so here it goes. I'm not sure if I'm completely losing my mind or if this situation is as bad as I think it is, but I need to ask Reddit for some guidance. I, 27M, ended my 2-year relationship with my girlfriend Nia, 25F, after I found out that she had been cheating on me with my dad, 52M. Yes, you read that correctly, my dad. I can't even begin to explain how utterly devastating this situation has been, but some of my friends and even a few family members are saying that I might have overreacted. So Reddit, I'm hoping you can help me figure out if I'm the asshole in all of this. Let me try to explain everything from the start, as this entire thing has been such a whirlwind, and I'm still processing what happened. Nia and I met about 3 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party. She was funny, outgoing, and ridiculously attractive. I was immediately drawn to her, and we hit it off within the first hour of meeting. Our chemistry was undeniable, and after that night we started hanging out more and more, going on dates and eventually becoming a couple. It didn't take long before we were talking about living together, and after about a year of dating, we took the plunge and moved in together. Things were going great. Well, at least that's what I thought. We had our usual disagreements, but nothing major. We'd fight, we'd talk it out, and we'd move on. For the most part, I was really happy. Nia was amazing in so many ways. She was thoughtful, supportive, and caring. We had a lot of fun together and everything seemed perfect. On the flip side, my relationship with my dad has always been complicated. My parents divorced when I was 12 because my dad had been cheating on my mom for years. My mom gave him so many chances to change, but in the end, she couldn't keep tolerating it. My dad's a smooth talker, always has been, but I've never been able to fully forgive him for what he did to my mom. After the divorce, we stayed in touch, but I never got particularly close to him. I still respected him as my father, but I never forgot the way he treated my mom. Growing up, I always made it clear to my dad that I didn't want to be involved in his drama. I wanted to focus on my own life, and I didn't need his mess to drag me down. Sure, we'd chat here and there, but that was the extent of our relationship. I'd see him at family events or holidays, but I always kept my distance. In the back of my mind, I still saw him as that man who betrayed my mom, and I wasn't sure if I could ever see him as anything more than a distant relative. But despite everything, I always tried to give him a chance. He was still my dad after all, and I figured I should at least be civil with him, even if I didn't fully trust him. About a month ago, things with Nia started feeling off. Nothing major at first, just small changes. She'd get quieter, more distant. She started canceling plans, not showing up to things we'd scheduled together, and being unusually protective of her phone. I'm a pretty chill guy, so at first I brushed it off. Maybe she was just stressed out, or maybe something was going on in her personal life. But then it started to get worse. One day I found a message on her phone while we were hanging out. It wasn't anything too crazy, just a couple of texts from a guy she knew from work. But it didn't sit right with me. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I didn't say anything at first. But the more I thought about it, the more I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. She wasn't being upfront with me about things. She'd claim she was out with friends, but when I asked her about it later, the stories didn't quite add up. Then I found out she'd been hanging out with my dad more. She said it was just for dinner or to talk about family stuff, but something about it felt off. Why was she suddenly so close to him? She'd never mentioned it before, and when I asked her about it, she'd laugh it off, saying it was just nothing. But the more I thought about it, the more uneasy I became. I tried to ignore it. I didn't want to become one of those paranoid, jealous boyfriends. I had been burned by insecurity in the past, and I didn't want to let my fears get the best of me. But the feeling in my gut wouldn't go away. Something was happening behind my back and I could feel it. Things came to a head one night when Nia and I were supposed to go out for a dinner date. We'd been planning this night for a while, and I was really looking forward to spending quality time together. But that afternoon, she texted me saying she wasn't feeling well and wanted to cancel. I didn't think much of it at first, but when I checked my phone a few hours later, I saw a message from a friend saying they saw Nia at a coffee shop on the other side of town. I didn't know why, but something inside me snapped. I couldn't help it. I texted her asking if she was really at home like she said, or if she was lying to me. She replied, saying she just needed some time alone and went out for a walk. But my friend's text didn't match up with her story, and that's when I started putting the pieces together. She had lied to me, and the gut feeling I'd been ignoring was finally confirmed. That night, I waited until she was asleep and went through her phone. I know. I shouldn't have done it. I should have talked to her first, but I was desperate to know what was really going on. And what I found crushed me. There were dozens of texts, explicit messages, and even pictures exchanged between her and my dad. They'd been having an affair for months. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through their conversations. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My heart was racing and I felt like I was going to be sick. There was no way this was real. But the evidence was right there in front of me. My own girlfriend, the woman I trusted with my whole heart, had been sleeping with my dad. How could this happen? How could I not see it? The next morning, I confronted Nia. She was still in bed, but I couldn't hold it in any longer. I showed her the messages, the photos, and everything I had found. She tried to deny it at first, saying it was just a one-time mistake, and that she had never meant for it to go this far. But as I kept pressing her, she finally admitted to everything. She said she didn't know how it happened but that it just did, and that she loved me and didn't want to lose me. I felt like I was living in a nightmare. I kept looking at her, trying to find any trace of the woman I thought I knew, but all I saw was a stranger. How could she do this? How could she betray me like this? How could she do it with my own dad? It was too much to comprehend. I couldn't believe it. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something. But I didn't do anything. I just stood there frozen. I told her I needed space and left the apartment. I didn't want to see her anymore. I couldn't look at her without feeling disgusted. When I called my dad, he didn't even apologize. He laughed it off, saying, "I was wondering when you'd find out." He didn't seem sorry at all. He even went so far as to tell me I was overreacting and that it was just a fling. He claimed it meant nothing and that I was blowing everything out of proportion. But I knew what was going on. This wasn't just a mistake. It was a betrayal on every level. I didn't know what to say. My dad, the man who had always been a part of my life, had just shattered everything. He had crossed a line that I couldn't even begin to understand. How could he do this? To me? To his own son? I stopped answering his calls. I blocked his number. I couldn't deal with him anymore. This wasn't something I could ever forgive. After a week of constant emotional turmoil, I made the decision to end things with Nia. I told her it was over, that I couldn't be with someone who would betray me like that. She begged me to reconsider, said it was a mistake, but I couldn't do it. The trust was gone. There was no way to fix it. I moved out of the apartment and have been staying with a friend since. It's been a few weeks now and I'm still processing everything. My family is split on this. Some of them say I should try to forgive Nia and work it out, while others are siding with me, saying that there's no coming back from this level of betrayal. I keep thinking about what I could have done differently. Maybe I should have seen the signs earlier. Maybe I should have confronted her sooner. Maybe I could have saved this relationship. But in my heart, I know that this is something I can't forgive. Not with my dad. Not with the woman I loved. So, Reddit, AITA for leaving Nia after she cheated on me with my dad? Should I have tried harder to make it work, or was walking away the only option?